Hi guys, it's indeed my pleasure to have Hitesh and Vishal, both from PMC Retail, who recently cleared CPSAT exam. So I thought I'll just have a conversation with them, a candid conversation with them. So before I actually ask them any questions, I would like Hitesh and Vishal to just give us a quick background about what they have been doing and professionally, and uh, what is their current role in their current organization.
Yep. So, Vishal,
Vishal,
I
yeah,
think
who somebody can
I'll
go
let
ahead.
you
Yeah.
start.
Okay, I'll go first. Myself, Vishal Parmar, and first of all, let me thank Aditya and the ATA team for giving us the opportunity to share our feedback, which we have experienced in the CP side. So before that, I'll be giving my introduction. So as I named myself, I'm Vishal Parmar, and I'm in the IT world since 6 years and a half. I've graduated from EC domain, but have switched to IT company. So that's how things from IT perspective started. And as of now, I'm in PMC retail as a part of the automation forum, wherein majorly we create new frameworks and enhance the existing framework, and then the modification activity which goes hand in hand, wherein we touch upon various aspects, be it front end automation, be it back end automation, which involves APIs on various fronts, and be it performance testing as well. So that's the majority of the areas which I've been part of. And other than that, also being part of training various people within the firm, then training people outside the firm as well, which is I'm firmly an advocate of sharing the knowledge that whatever I've possessed or what little of the automation world that I know. So I try to share that with a wider audience and get to learn from them as well. So that's basically me from an IT world and from the experience which I hold. Yeah, thanks.
Very nice. Yeah, great. Hitesh?
Yeah, I think part of the things that Vishal said is going to be the same for me as well. We being a community people, we help a lot of people in within the organization as well as outside the organization as well. So to start with, I'm Hitesh Prajapati. I have been with the test automation since over the 5 to 5.5 years. I've been working on a different tool set of technologies and languages as well, be it any mobile web platform, Selenium, Appium, anything. On the other end, I'm more involved. have been more involved into creating the automation frameworks mostly, and to create something that can be directly used by the peers. So mostly those things. And on other hand, nowadays it's like I and Vishal both together, we have been working on a lot of new technologies, and setting up a new standard in terms of how the test automation should look like. Which includes the latest tech trends and a lot of latest language things more of. So now our more of a frameworks looks like 80% code and 20% Selenium. That's how we have started working on the when I'm not in the organization, like I like to communicate with people. I'm into the community as well. I help people. There are a couple of folks who reach out to me on various guidance as in certification, what path they should start with. So I have been doing this on and off as and when I get time. And I guess since we are on CPSAT, let me mention the same thing as well. So I'm also part of CPSAT as an advisory committee. I know
Yeah.
I'm promoting myself, but I think it's again it
Yes.
was the biggest thing that I ever thought of that happened to me. And I take a lot of pride in how I have reached there. And I'm always there to help community. But it's a very good stepping stone in my career, in my profile, which I never thought it would come, but it has came. And I want to do very good things and a lot of new things there. So yeah, that's pretty much all about me.
Very nice. Great. So it's really awesome to have you guys. And my intent was to have a very honest feedback about the way that your CPSAT exam went. Okay. So one is, first of all, congratulations on clearing this exam.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask you first. I would ask you, Vishal, and then Hitesh can answer that. So was it a tough exam, Vishal and Hitesh?
Okay, so if I give an honest answer for that, if we have done the things, necessity things pretty well, it is an exam which will test a couple of things, but it is easy to clear because if we have done certain amount of things prepared as well. And I tend to have a sort of a reason to connect the things on a regular basis. So let's say any of the technical skills which we have or technical certification or exam or anything. I try to relate it with regular basis, regular day-to-day activities, so that it will reach to mass ears and they'll be able to process it a bit smoothly. So if I can take a minute or so to explain my experience, so I am a good cook as well. So there are many ways to approach for a food thing. So there are two ways to approach that. One is we can have predefined things ready and then start cooking and plug and play the things which we want, or else we'll just start cooking, run and grab the things which we want. So certification is sort of the same thing as well. Both the ways are doable, but if we have predefined necessary things achieved in prior, then this examination is a good test and it will be sort of an experience rather than terming it sort of a thing. So it is a learning experience, be it if we pass, we take the things out of it. And if we don't clear that, we'll be taking that as a learning thing. We'll try to optimize. So it is a good way from a learning perspective, be it we excel it or be it we try to give it in a second attempt or any other attempt. So yeah,
Great.
that's it.
So I do understand that you're saying that if you're prepared and if you're prepared well, things go smooth. Let me hear what Hitesh has to say.
Yeah, I think I have like, to be honest, we both were working on the same lines, but I am coming from a background where I look things from the foundation level first. So I have been involved with a lot of things with Agile Testing Alliances, ATA, in terms of hackathons as well. So my first instinct was there were a couple of question sets that is there in the CPSAT website. So we started analyzing those things, what kind of questions. So like we are at an age or we are at a level wherein finding a solution is always going to be like it is going to be there, we will be able to find a solution. So that's not enough. So what we thought is, let's try understanding what kind of question set that are there. If there are utility that can be built out of the box, let's do it. So our main focus was not to solve the problem, but to find out the pattern of the question. And I think I have looked at all last two hackathons as well, other than what we have noticed in the examinate like the sample papers. I have looked at those two hackathon, and wherein I was able to understand, I just scrapped out all the selenium related questions, and then just listed out the pattern that ATA follows. And I started creating the utility for that. I started practicing those things. So rather than finding a solution, I was looking at preparing the utility based on the history of ATA. And I think that has helped a lot. For an example, if I have to tell you, there is a CSS get color, which is frequently used questions there. So what I use is I created a library, and just as and when ready, just ask, just pick it that, and you have the answer ready. On the other hand, there are a lot many things was there, like in terms of table handling as well, wherein there are a lot of different areas, and synchronization as well. Because I know for a fact that ATA always creates a challenging DOM. I have noticed that DOM as well. So I and Vishal had an internal discussion that they will anyway put elements which are not visible with the same ID. So we have to make sure that we locate that. And I think we noticed the same thing there. I think for any application that AT has used in past, they have this kind of DOM structure, and we figured it out. And on a page load, there is always going to be one pop-up that you have to handle, which can get failed. This is the pattern of ATA. So we being on like that's how we are separated from other people, because we looked at the history of it, how ATA works, and then we start strategize ourselves that okay, these are the areas that we need to focus, and that's where we need to target. Because finding a solution is not going to be tough for us. It's how we find it, how fast we find it. And coming to your question, like whether it was challenging, yes, it was, because it eats your time, it demands your attention, it tests your patience as well, because it's very small thing, and you are still like struggling what is happening, and it's your time. So in a way it's challenging, not in a way that people will not be able to solve it, but in a way how they will do it. So yeah, that way it was challenging. So that's
Yeah.
a whole way of preparing for it was for me as well.
Yeah, I think this conversation will help a lot of people on how do they approach this exam, which probably they
Yeah.
feel tougher. But I do understand that the way that you're approaching this paper and this exam will probably be very insightful for others as well. So hopefully
Yes.
they will learn. So one another question I want to ask you, since you guys cleared the exam and your experience was nice and you found it challenging, the time was a constraint, right? Do you think it is something of a good exercise for people who know Selenium to go for this kind of a certification? What is your opinion there?
I guess that's true. I have been suggesting a lot of people. Like I myself have done ISTQB. What I felt is those are more of theory centric, and they do ask question which is kind of a logical. But again, it does not challenge your practical knowledge. In a way, if I have to search for a lot of certifications, the CPSAT, it actually brings out the best out of you. So for an example, I have to tell you, I know a lot of solutions, but now the way I approach that does two things. That builds a strategy in myself, even though it's just related to exam. But if we look at the global perspective, it introduces a different way of getting ready for something, be it this examination, be it anything in the life, or be it any project. This is a process. If someone does it, they are getting ready indirectly for how the things should be done. And when they are giving exam, what happens is there are a lot of things, like small things. For an example, I'll tell you, one question was related to finding an expert. And out of curiosity, I did ask, can we use something else? And they mentioned that use the same thing. And that time I realized why this exam is, because they want to check different aspect. The same thing can be achieved with find element dot find element something, but they want to know all the flavors. If they say XPath, use the XPath, because they want to target that skill at that way. And also that actually makes us realize where we want to improve, where we want to work and we should work. So definitely this is one of the best, I would say, examination that I have ever given. So I am now not a advocate of giving any ISTQB. I don't see any of the expert level certification that I feel I'll ever give, because it's just theory. Because I do not judge based on those, but practical knowledge does make sense. And this is really good examination. And I think even after the examination, even we are having this experience, we realize couple of areas that we feel can be improved as well, and can be looked over. So yeah, it is a two-way street as well. Like it is giving the marks, but again, if you are someone who self realizes, they'll get to know where they have to work on. So yeah, it was like that.
Okay, excellent. And Vishal, what is your opinion about this?
Yep. So my opinion aligns with the opinion of Hitesh as well. So I'll just add a couple of things in that. So as Hitesh mentioned that there are a good amount of technical skills which would be uh, what should we say, checked, or which would we be evaluated upon. But in addition to that, there are a couple of things as well, that it is a time box thing. So one person needs to prioritize that what we need to do first. So it is sort of that, let's say every solution is possible. There are 6, 7, 8, 9 questions. Every question is doable, but we have to approach that in a smarter way. Let's say if this much is the question, this much is the mark, what we should prioritize first, rather than just going blindly and solving this XYZ things. That's where the mock test helped us a lot, because mock test did give us a flavor of how the actual exam would be. So we were in a place to finalize things, that this is a thing which we can utilize in a utility, or any other things that we can approach forward with it. Let's say when Hitesh mentioned about the background, so that gives us a hint about that we can use that as a utility. And it also varies a couple of things. So it one thing is technical thing for sure, the second thing is prioritization. And the third thing, which Hitesh touched upon, a very good aspect, is when a person is pressurized or feeling under pressure, we tend to not give our 100% or not perform as the best which we want. So CPSAT is one of the platform where we would be sort of feeling that pressure, because it is a human tendency that we want to achieve everything, we want to complete everything. So that's when we would be over pressurizing ourselves, that there are 6 questions, 8 questions, I want to do all of them. And there might be a place where we might not read the question correctly, we might not perform the solution. But that's where the things are, that we have to be smart enough, in the same time we have to be attentive enough as well. So it touches on various aspects. That is, I think, technical skills, prioritization, time box things. And the one thing is how we perform in a pressure situation. So it is one of the rare exam which would give us a blend of all of them within a certain time frame. So I would really recommend that to wider audience, whomsoever wants to approach the automation world. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. I actually, you answered the next question which I was about to ask. You definitely said that you're going to recommend Hitesh Would you like to recommend this to others, Hitesh? Because the
I
way
have
that,
been doing it
yeah,
from a very long time. Like the moment,
yeah,
I was on board with CPSAT, I've been looking at the content as well. I appeared for examination now, but ever since I have been into this CPSAT thing, I have been, actually helping people to understand why this is different, why you should do it, and what are the benefit. I mean, if there are two different things, certificates for a couple of people, certificate does not define everything. So for ISTQB, it does not define anything. Like a lot of people does certification why they want to get shortlisted. Otherwise, there is no purpose of any certification. And what we believe is your skill. And CPSAT test your skill if someone has cleared it, which means that they are so like for an interviewer, like I and Vishal both are into interview panel, and we have set of levels that okay, if person at is this level, we know it's good. So this sets again a standard. If someone has cleared CPSAT, which means that they are at up to some level. Otherwise, it's not like if beginner gives, I'm sure they won't be able to clear it. So it does set standard in all the ways that the person is up to the mark. We can always consider them for any kind of if in interview process as well. But yeah, to answer your question, I have been doing it from very long time, and I'll keep doing. Anyone who interacts with me, I think recently a friend of friend looked at my profile on LinkedIn. He reached out to him, and then he called me and asked me what are the ways I can explore things, how I should start my automation career. He's just a new person, so I have suggested him to start with ISTQA because even though those are theory, if someone doesn't know anything but fundamentals, the fundamentals of testing is important because the same concept are applied on automation. He's just starting his career, so I haven't suggested him CPSET because it's still a lot of time until he decides to give. But yeah, my whole conversation with anyone on how to start the career and what certification to target, I think ISTQB is now nowhere on my radar, but obviously the CPSAT is. So I've been doing it. I'll keep doing, suggesting people to give this examination.
yeah, no, I agree because it's a practical and it's a rare exam which touches and which tests your practical skills, and that is the focus that we have entirely, which basically is oriented towards that. Now, great conversation we had. I think this probably would require a little more time. Maybe I can request you to do a webinar on how do you prepare and clear the exam rather
We
than
have a lot to
basically,
talk about that.
yeah,
Exactly.
maybe
I
we
think
can do that.
the
So,
same thing we did with internal people. I think it was somewhere around an hour. We did a lot of research. I and Vishal, we were talking regularly. What are the status? And if he is like, I did not this, and I'm like, okay, you have to do it now. So like we were keeping each others on that toss so that they work, because in college, if you remember, we were not preparing until the other our roommate starts. This happened in college days.
yes,
So the similar thing, we kept it, like we kept the those things there. It's not, and again, taken from granted. We never did that because even if you know a lot of things, never took anything for granted. And that's the strategy that we use, because at some level when you know everything, you are like, okay, I can do it, I can beat this examination. But if someone does that mistake, I know they are ending up getting fail in this examination. So I think even though it's selenium, even though you know everything, do not ever take this examination for granted. There are quirks that happens, and there are things that happens during that time which you do not have control over. So
yeah,
be sure you practice well. Does not matter how many years of experience do you have. So yeah,
yeah.
that is the very much important point that I want to highlight in our preparation part.
Very nice. I think that I agree. It really requires practice, and
Yeah.
even though people might have a lot of experience, but the time and time spent on practicing the mock papers really help. In fact, we have released or ATA in such has released two new mock papers right on the website. If you check now, CPSAT has those two mock papers. I probably you can recommend to people who are going to take it as well. That would help.
Yep.
Now,
Sure.
with this short conversation, I would like to thank for your time today. But I would request more time and maybe a webinar later on. Would that be okay with you
Surely.
guys?
Surely,
Sure.
surely.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Cheers. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Cheers.